remember Life magazine? I don't even know if it still exists, but Life magazine had Elizabeth Taylor on the cover. And they said, she's 40, and she looks good. And I thought, wow, how can you look good when you're that old? And then I remember they put Gloria Steinem on the cover when she was 50, and they said, she looks good for 50. And I thought, how do you look good at 50? And I now realize, wow, aging can be such an enjoyable thing if you know how to approach it. This is what 62 looks like. Honestly, I've never felt better in my whole life. I've never been healthier. I've never been happier. I've never been more satisfied and felt more complete. And what happens with aging, if we approach it to be an enjoyable thing, is we've got this wonderful thing that is a gift. It kind of sprinkles down on us called wisdom and perspective. And wisdom and perspective is so, you can't buy it, you can't bottle it. It's just, it allows you to not sweat the small stuff and to stand back and go, oh yeah, I remember that. So none of that, though, is available without hormones. So that is why, I'm going to put his notes away here. That is why I have brought to you the 7 dwarves of menopause. I'm sure you know them well. Itchy, bitchy, sleepy, sweaty, bloated, forgetful, and all dried up. And then a girlfriend said, you should add a couple more. I said, what? She said, well, they're seething. And I said, oh yeah, I remember seething. And she said, and leaky. You know when you laugh and you pee? It's your hormones. It's your hormones. They never told us. Our mothers didn't tell us. Our mothers were terrified to talk about menopause or hormones or anything because they got put in sanatoriums. Think about what happened to women of our mother's era and women before that. Women who had particularly bad menopause were called hysterical, and they were put into sanatoriums for their own good. And that's kind of in a way how this happened for me. I was on a book tour for one of my summer size books, the weight loss books. The first time I was delving into hormones because I realized the hormone insulin was such a key factor in why we were gaining weight. And if you could just, get that hormone under control. And so we were talking about her mother for some reason, and she said, well, I didn't know my mother very well. I was talking to my publisher in the car on the way to the Today Show. I didn't know my mother very well. Why? Well, she was institutionalized. Really? Why? Well, I don't know, really. I mean, I was just a teenager, and they put her into the institution. I said, how old was your mother? She said, I think she was about 47. And that's when I thought, 47. Probably she was put into an institution because of menopause, because nobody knows what to do with a woman whose hormones are out of control. And now we do. There's great, I get attacked all the time for talking about this because for some reason they don't want us to know. Well, I think I do know the reason why they don't want us to know, and I'll get into that as we go on. But I'm telling you, you can get your life back. I got my life back. I had 3 years where I lost me. I'm a happy person. I have done a lot of work to be a happy person. I was an abused child, and I had a lot of therapy to undo what happened to me as a child, and I have forgiven, and I have even come to a place where I am grateful for the childhood that I had, because having that father allowed me to become the person I am today, to have to work harder, to have to fight harder. And I have been able to have this happy marriage for so long, married to a Canadian. Thank you very much for... It's the happiest I've ever been. I never, in my wildest dreams, didn't think I could have a marriage like this. He's an incredible husband and so kind, and he's on hormones too. And oh, it makes for such a wonderful marriage. But during those 3 years, it hit me on my 50th birthday. And because I had my son Bruce when I was 17 years old, and I was a single teenage mother, and all the shame that went with that, for all those of us who've experienced that at that time, there was no joy when you announced to your family that you were pregnant when you were a teenager at that time. And so now here I am at 50, and my son is a man, and he's standing there giving me the toast I waited for my whole life, because I raised him by the seat of my pants. You know, there's no school for being a parent for any of us, let alone for being a teenage parent. And I heard him say, as he held up his glass, "You were my life, Ma." And I really didn't hear the rest, because all I could think of was, could we just wrap this up, because I am so hot. Is anybody else hot here?